Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to another exciting episode of Vash Sky ParkCast. Oh my goodness gracious. I am your host, Vash Sky. Welcome to the show, and I'm here to take you through today's illustrious ceremonies. Thank you so much for coming on in. I saw some amazing people out there. I think, Orange Grove 55 was the first one to actually comment on the stream, and so early that, it wasn't actually included in StreamYard. But don't worry, sir, your, support has been acknowledged. That is absolutely for sure. Speaking of support, there has been so much support actually provided us. I want to go ahead and thank each and every one of those. Right now, Juliet coming in here with the £5 sterling evening Vash Sky ParkCast and Skyliners. Hello there, Juliet. Welcome in. Very nice to see you there. We have just a Dutchie coming on in here. Remember, for 2 months evening, Sir Vashery Sky. Nice. Skyliners and Sky Watchers. Very much appreciate you as a Sky Watcher. Just a Dutchie, one of our very, very best and most supportive. Thank you so much for everything that you do. And, well, as I guess, which is a very, very Dutchy thing to do in supporting this channel. She decided to gift 5 people a Sky Watcher membership right there. Awesome stuff. We have Slasharoo, Flying Blind Rocket Cycle. Hey, good to see you out there. We have Ariel Black, Prakesh, and Lauren Connor actually becoming a new Sky Watcher. Well, fantastic stuff. Come on in. The water's warm right there. Lauren, Flying Blind, everybody, you might be very interested in a very interesting show that we had exclusively for members very recently over there. This show we have called Vash and Vixen, in which we were actually talking about Disney's history with the space race, but also, too, how Ward Kimball and Walt Disney actually wanted to do an entire Tomorrowland episode of the Disneyland television show all about UFOs and how the U.S. government might have been involved in stopping them. Very interesting stuff right there. You want to go ahead and check that out for sure, because I think it's pretty good. So, as you are a Skywatcher now, that's being Ariel Black and Slasharoo and everybody else, definitely check that out. It is worth your time, I do assure you. Man, it is cool to see everybody in here. Barry the Music Man, I know he was there yesterday joining us for all kinds of different appearances that I had, whether it be on Ron's Fall of Bradley's Fun, The Dish right there, or even a theme parkin'. Had a wonderful time with Orange Grove 55 and Jared from Capture the Magic. Pretty cool stuff indeed. Had a new face on, Logan. Good times were had by all. Freedom Seeker coming in here as well. O2RR, MagicalyMJ, of course, our producer extraordinaire. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to go ahead and get on MagicalyMJ right now, actually, who, is looking out there for your comments and looking forward towards highlighting everything that you guys have to say out there. MagicalyMJ, are you there, ma'am?
I am here and ready to rock and roll. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely. Thank you. Well, thank everybody so much for being here, because, man, it has been it's been an incredible ride here in Vash Sky ParkCast, but obviously your appearances and your viewership, well, it means the world to me. So thank you so much for that. Interesting, MJ, I know you were trying to contact me earlier. I have been having the darndest time with technology around me. I haven't been able to receive phone calls as well as I have in the past right there. Haven't been able to receive a whole bunch of things, actually, and getting up shows. It's been just a nightmare. MJ, is there anybody that you want to go ahead and highlight for us in the chat before starting on our first segment?
I am just looking at all the beautiful people hailing each other and saying hi and joining in. I don't have anything highlighted as of yet, but we have so much news to cover. And part of the reason why I was trying to get in touch with you last minute today, there's so much happening. And maybe we can cover that tomorrow night with the Disney Cruise Line. Holy moly, guacamole. Change of management is showing, seeping through their pores with all the magic disappearing from the Disney Cruise Line. What's up with that?
It would appear so, right, MJ? I mean, we've seen, the erosion of some fan favorites, like a little bit of restrictions applied to room decor, alcohol being brought on by various guests right there, that being restricted. There's a whole lot more there. we can see if we can actually cover it this time, but obviously too, we do have our Thursday show as well. We can cover things, that being at 6:30 p.m. Eastern right there. Fantastic stuff indeed. MJ, we got to get on to it right here, so I'm going to go ahead and place you in the back. Be sure to scan the comments right there. We want to go ahead and highlight as many people as possible on these shows. And, well, I'm sure you're going to be able to pick out some amazing people that we want to go ahead and feature. So, thank you very much, MJ.
You got it.
Oh, absolutely indeed. Boy, oh boy, this is a very, very interesting time that we actually live in the theme park space. There's been so much discourse and controversy surrounding the Carousel Progress update, this big story that we were able to bring to you last week right there. I wanted to go ahead and bring in some of that conversation that's actually occurring right now within the fandom, because I think it's really interesting to see the reaction and the realizations that I think people have come to, in no small part, starting off with Save the Magic right here. You can see he has a long dissertation that I wanted to go ahead and read to you in its entirety, but obviously a wall of text, that's no good. So let's go ahead and play a little bit of that Carousel of Progress right now. This footage, by the way, I have to mute that. There you go. This footage actually coming from William Backey on X, who was kind enough to actually post that for all people on there. Definitely check out William Backey on X. It seems to be quite phenomenal when it comes to, his footage and his media and everything that he brings right there. So I want to go ahead and shout him out. But you can see right there the Carousel Progress in all its amazing glory. There you go, from Save the Magic on X as well. I'd like to take a bit of time to do a deep dive with a longer post about Disney fandom claims that the current version of Carousel Progress is, quote, dated. Needs to be, quote, more relevant to the modern audience. What are they really saying? What does it really tell us about the fans' mindset? Modern Disney fan culture is essentially internet-driven fandom. This reality towards the new, constant updates and change. On the one hand, it's driven by large accounts and internet, quote, influencers. New rides, demolitions, construction walls, rethemes, rumors, announcements generate huge engagement. And ultimately, the engagement is all influencers care about. They don't care about the original Disney park design philosophy, how to do atmospheric design correctly, placemaking, focused Imagineering, or Disney park history generally. They just want viewers and traffic so they can get paid. Think about this. Of all of the large Disney accounts that you may follow, how many of the influencers have come out and questioned if this proposed change is anything other than positive, needed, great, exciting? It's exciting to them because it provides fresh content that they thrive and get paid on. It's interesting that Save the Magic actually talks about this and initializes this in the way that he has. Let's see if I can actually do this. Does it work? Good. Because it's profound what is actually happening right now. I was talking to somebody who, I'll say this, you all know of him. You all have watched his content before. It's a big player in the space, but I don't want to reveal him necessarily because I don't know if I want to go ahead and publicly talk about maybe private discussions we may have had, and I want to go ahead and keep him confidential for those reasons. But I was having a conversation with them, and apparently there has been a change taking place with Disney's relationship with influencers. I'm not just talking about the influencers that were invited for, to see Pedro Pascal as Mandalorian in Smuggler's Run right there. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about there's been a change in dynamic between the relationship between influencers and letting them in on the process in order for them to be advocates for whatever you're doing. Apparently in 2024, when the big announcements actually came out of the D23 Ultimate Fan event of that year. You'll remember how Rivers of America, after that event actually took place, that was when we knew that Rivers of America was going away. Disney announced that. And they announced it alongside videos showing what they were going to do in its place. One of those being the famous video of them, the Imagineers on dune buggies or whatever, riding out there and saying, hey, look, listen, we want an experience like this, and we're going to go ahead and bring it to you. Isn't this great? Isn't this phenomenal? Isn't this awesome? Well, apparently, there's been a change in dynamic between the relationship between influencers and Disney's relationship with influencers. And not just talking about the influencers that were invited for, to see Pedro Pascal as Mandalorian in Smuggler's Run right there. there was a lot of pushback to that. And I remember covering it on at least that Park Place, but it could have been 2-3PO as well. And so, I mean, the comments were just extraordinary. So many people hating the idea that they would get rid of something as beautiful as Rivers of America for a dirt track attraction thing to cars. Anyway, after that, apparently Disney looked at it and said, you know what? We've got to change tact here. So they actually reached out to a consultancy, from what I'm told. And apparently, that consultancy told them, hey, look, listen, this is what you do. You go ahead and you bring in your influencers. You bring in your big boys. I'm not going to name who they are. But you bring them into the process, into, maybe development talks, development groups with Imagineers and so forth. You have those Imagineers lay out the case to those safe influencers there. Influencers that aren't going to push back. Influencers that aren't going to ask too many questions. And make them part of the process. In doing that, they become your advocates. So instead of Disney Parks blog posts and so forth, where you have these, big reveals about what they're actually doing, anything that the company actually says or anything stemming back to the company feels inauthentic or ingenuine, right? Feels corporate, feels stuffy. What if they were able to change that, though? What if they were to have influencers be their salesmen? Indeed, apparently that is what's happening. There were a couple prominent YouTubers and internet personalities that cover Disney that had videos ready to go talking about the changes that were coming to Carousel Progress. How is that possible? Well, apparently some of those people may have been brought in to this new process right here, provided all of the information connected to the changes of Carousel Progress, and then slapped them with a embargo. Not unlike what people that have access media do now for reviews and so forth for movies. You've seen that. Embargo lifted. Here you go. Here's my review. Apparently, the same process is taking place with influencers and their information. And then when that embargo is lifted, that's when the company can bring out its own Disney Parks blog update, along with a bunch of influencers ready to go to say, this is a good idea. That's why I think that discourse is changing. That's what I think Save the Magic is actually saying on X right here. There haven't been a lot of people questioning this. And a lot of people have been positive about this. They've said that this is needed. They say that this is great or exciting. Frankly, because they're in on it. It's upsetting to see. Not a great place to be. But, Save the Magic actually has some more commentary here. Let's read. Many fans experience the parks digitally more than physically. From the moment they arrive, their faces are buried in an app. They are monitoring YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and line wait times, Twitter, X, etc. The majority of visitors used to experience Disney as an occasional pilgrimage. Now, modern fans consume Disney content daily online. That changes expectations without the fan base even being aware that they are being driven or influenced by the digital cycle. Fandom conversation becomes biased towards change and the new. If you are constantly watching park content, static environments begin to feel, old, faster. Modern fan culture increasingly treats permanence and old as boring. I just want the new. Can you blame people when they are fed a constant diet of app updates, streaming content, and endless new content driven by influencers? The mindset today is that Disney should constantly refresh, modernize, evolve. That attitude affects everything, and people have it without even realizing it. Modern fans see the parks more as an entertainment platform that should constantly or continuously refresh to stay exciting. They bore easily. It's the digital cycle. Disney itself has a share in creating this environment. Corporate marketing reinforces the idea that newer is automatically superior. The Walt Disney Company constantly markets, quote, the next big thing, because new additions drive attendance, media coverage, merchandising sales, and repeat visitation. Crowds at new launches also help sell lightning lanes, making it an exercise in return for investment. Or on investment for Disney. They are letting spreadsheets rather than creatives drive their decision making. And it shows. There is evidence that constant new stimulation and rapid digital reward cycles can affect attention and reward sensitivity in the brain, aka burning out dopamine receptors, end quote. Heavy exposure to fast-paced content, infinite scrolling, and rapid feedback can drive changes in sustained attention spans, tolerance for slower stimulation, impulsivity, and constant seeking of new things. Digital environments absolutely shape fandom expectations and behavioral conditioning. All of this is to say that people's brains are now being heavily influenced to demand that things are ever-changing. And when they don't get that, they react with a strong negative emotional response. This is what the attacks on us, as according to Save the Magic here, originate. They really want the new and are unhappy with anything or anyone that gets in the way of it. It's really, really astounding to see. We saw this with the Splash Mountain removal. When that was announced right there were a litany of people saying, oh, it has to, modernize, and Disney's not a museum, and you're an Easterphobe if you advocate for these things staying. What? Where's this coming from? Why are you having such a visceral reaction to what is essentially an attraction? And they'll tell you, if you defend it, oh, it's just a ride. Apparently it's not to you, though. Very, very interesting. It's the dynamic that actually takes place when it comes to the discourse online or surrounding these classic attractions is extraordinary. I have some expanded thoughts about Carousel Progress in particular. Let's go ahead and read on here. Save the Magic continues. Quiet spaces get undervalued. This is why something like Tom Sawyer's Island or the Rivers of America or a 21-minute Carousel Progress show is almost intolerable for them to experience. They literally can't sit still long enough to enjoy it. Subtle details lose attention against high-intensity simulation. It's no wonder that Guardians of the Galaxy is constantly mentioned as modern fandom's favorite attraction. It's the stimulation that they crave. It's not about placemaking. You can see this in the Guardians pre-show skipping phenomenon. They can't wait to get the dopamine hit. They can't stand having to endure a pre-show. They are seeking the thrill. Older Imagineering often relied on lingering presence, spaces you absorbed gradually. That sort of space design just doesn't work with this group now. And you can see Disney responding by slowly destroying the fabric of the parks. It's interesting. I want to go ahead and bring this out here. It's not just, Guardians of the Galaxy anymore. This is actually happening in other spaces now, including new ones that just actually arrived. Let's see if I can actually bring this up right here. Let's go ahead and put a pause on Dear John right here as part of Carousel Progress. You can see right here, Coaster K24. Breaking news, people already don't care about the Muppets pre-show. Yeah, they're just piling near the doors and letting the pre-show play. And we can actually see this if we have audio on this guy, which I think we do. Let's see if we can play this right now.
And you were due on stage hours. The big show. We're at the big show. And you were due on stage hours ago.
Yeah, you have Matt Fogel there, I guess, doing Kermit, talking about the story for the show that you're actually going to experience. You can see the guest right there. Not interested. I think this is what Save the Magic is talking about on X. I think he's talking about how people just can't sit still. They don't care. They are into these very experiential attractions, and some of it rightfully so. But these classic attractions that have you absorb something, like the Carousel Progress, heck, even the Walt Disney animatronic or the Lincoln show. It's passé. Can't do that. We need the now. We need the hip. We need the modern experience or whatever. Not so good. Let's go ahead and see if we can put John back up there to go through this astounding dissertation by Save the Magic. Disney, for its part, because it doesn't have the budget to refresh everything all the time, opts for many cheap overlays, rethemes, and quick refreshes. This sort of thing is just a shortcut to get something new, and it cheapens the park experience. For those of us who want to preserve what makes the parks special, it's not hard to see how removing legacy environments people see as irreplaceable parts of the park's identity could be seen as a problem for us. Especially when we run into the dopamine crowd who are just looking for their next hit. Ultimately, they will be bored with the new very quickly, 3 to 6 months, won't be satisfied, and move on to whatever else is, quote, new. This leaves the rest of us stuck with an attraction that neither they nor we are interested in anymore. We've seen it time and time again. Tiki Room under new management, Country Bears, Journey into Imagination, so on. Really is a bad trend, and I do agree. To sum it all up, I think the whole Carousel Progress blow-up has ultimately revealed that Disney will have a problem in the future. Theme park build-outs are very expensive, long-lived things, and really don't fit well into this quick update board dopamine influencer cycle. They are slowly losing the fans who really care about the legacy and history, and the fans that remain, who are looking for a new quick hit, have zero loyalty. That puts Disney in a very difficult spot. The next time you come across someone complaining about things being, quote, outdated, I hope you know what's really driving them to say it. Indeed. I thought that was fantastic commentary by Save the Magic. I thought it really kind of hit home. Obviously, it was long, so I do appreciate you guys sticking with me and getting through that right there, because I think it needs to be said. You know, it's when I see this attachment to the new and the modernization and all that, it's got to be relevant, don't you know? I think of stuff like Main Street. How relevant is a turn-of-the-century Victorian-era town? I mean, I don't know anybody alive who actually saw this Victoria-era town at the turn of the century in its heyday. I don't think there's anybody going to the parks now who has. And yet, when you walk into Main Street at Disneyland or Magic Kingdom, you have the same feeling. Why is that? Maybe there's, I don't know, there's a reason why these things stay around. And there is a reward for actually maintaining history. I think there is. I think people have forgotten that in discussing this. And here's the thing. Walt certainly wanted aspects of the eras depicted in Carousel Progress as it currently stands to live on and endure. You know that because, well, the Carousel Progress started out as part of an attraction that was going to be a land themed to Thomas Edison. It was going to be Edison Square. They intended that to be added to Disneyland in the 1950s. Well, Thomas Edison is known for creating the first commercially viable light bulb. Okay, that was back in, what, the 1870s? If I'm not mistaken. 1879, maybe? Chat, correct me. But, okay, if it's the 1950s that Walt was thinking about actually implementing something like that in the park, well, that's 70 years plus removed from that event. Obviously, nobody going to Disneyland would have even necessarily been alive to see that transition of history, that being the gas era to the electric era and so forth. Right? I mean, people who were going to the parks, light bulbs were just their daily lives. So how relevant was a story like that even back then? It wasn't. But Walt knew that it was important to maintain that history. It was important to go through the eras and so forth to show real progress. Not incrementalism, not, Apple and internet. No, it was about, hey, plumbing going into people's homes. That's a big deal. Electricity going into people's homes. That's a big deal. Air conditioning. The first flight actually happening. Massive improvements to society as a whole, to the world. And they're going to replace it with Y2K. Folks, you help me. Help me in understanding this. It doesn't make sense to me that, storybook, Sorceress, October 1879. That's what I thought. It was a long time ago. It was far before Walt's time. Remember, he wasn't born until 1901. And yet he wanted to depict that time period. He wanted to enshrine that event. Just like he wanted to go ahead and have a steamboat in the middle of his park. Actually, one that he took out his own life insurance policy to actually pay for. He so believed in it. And it was the first steamboat to be built in the US in 80 years. It's like, no, we want to go ahead and maintain this history. We want to go ahead and have people connected to this past in this visceral way that only a theme park can provide. Let's have a sailing ship Columbia, this vessel that was the first to circumnavigate the globe with the stars and stripes. Let's go ahead and include that in the park. How relevant is that? Hey, like, you know, everybody says it looks like an old pirate ship, even though that's not necessarily true. But Walt felt it was important to preserve these things and to have these avenues by which you can actually visit these places, time periods, settings, etc. in his attractions. Why? It's very interesting. We have additional commentary on this provided by Disney Cicero, which we actually played a video of hers talking about the changes to Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, interestingly enough. Very astute observations made by this specific media personality. Let's go ahead and play her comments right now because I think this is extraordinarily fascinating. Here you go. Let's see right here. Turn on the audio.
Something that I hear often as a Disney historian is that Walt Disney would not want Disneyland to be a museum, and it's usually brought up when I address the sadness of losing a favorite attraction in the Disney parks. And while it's true that Walt did say, Disneyland is like a piece of clay, if there's something I don't like, I'm not stuck with it, I can reshape and revamp. I think it's important that we look at the context in which he said this. When Walt built Disneyland, he was frustrated that when a film he worked so hard on was in the can, he was not able to go back and finesse and change things. So yes, he said that Disneyland would never be completed, but that doesn't mean that Walt didn't value preserving history. In fact, he said, I don't want to just entertain kids with pony rides and swings. I want them to learn something about their heritage. Disneyland was always meant to be an educational place as well as one of entertainment. The earliest prospectus for Disneyland said it would be a place for teacher and pupils to discover greater ways of understanding and education, which of course is why the Jungle Cruise didn't have many jokes in the beginning, and there was a Davy Crockett Museum in Frontierland. In fact, that same 1953 prospectus said the park would be a museum of living facts. And when it comes to nostalgia, if Walt didn't value it, we wouldn't even have Main Street USA at all. Honestly, when Walt built Disneyland, I don't think he had any idea in those early years what the park would become to us, how nostalgia itself would become an attraction, the very reason we go to the Disney parks. And so context matters, because yes, Walt expected his park to grow and change, but he also very much cared about heritage, nostalgia, history, and education, as well as entertainment. And in my opinion, to truly honor Walt Disney's legacy, any attractions that are added to the Disney parks should do the same. Because over the years, Disneyland itself has now become part of our heritage. It's the museum of our childhood.
An interesting commentary to provide for this. I thought it was really, really astute. And, you know, she claims herself as a historian, certainly went to the prospectus for Disneyland to cite some relevant passages that just really sink the point home. I mean, look, it's enshrined in bronze at the what is it? The base of the flagpole as you actually enter Disneyland.
And the hard facts.
The hard facts that are created in America. History's built in. It's not a museum. I get it. It's more than that. So to get rid of these things, I don't know. I don't think Walt would want it. But that's what they're doing. We'll see. We'll see if it pays off. It's quite the strategy for sure. MJ, come on in. What do you got for us? We have so many people that I see commenting on this. Very, very astute observations indeed. What say you, MJ? Go ahead and bring them up.
Tons and tons of beautiful commentary and questions from the audience. And I'm going to just try to get them on here as quickly as I can so you can move on to your next segment. I wanted to point this out because they are joining us live maybe for the first time. Maybe Kayak? How do you pronounce that? Vash, you're the expert.
Maybe K. Maybe KK. Maybe KK. I think that's where we're going right there. That's how I'm going to say it. And maybe if you're here, and if we're getting it right, please let us know. But so happy to make it live. Absolutely. So great to have you, and thank you so much for joining us.
Here's one from 21 Royal with Cheese. Didn't get a chance to tell you that the last Fashion Vixen member stream about UFOs was great. So I wanted to highlight that for all the new Sky Watchers, the shows on Saturdays.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's a really interesting show. There was a lot of research actually conducted for it, but I think it paid off. And Jim Cork is, fantastic, doing a lot of the groundwork for that. But going over that and revisiting that in this contemporary time that we live in, where people are talking about UFOs in an entirely different context, it's profound to see the origins of some of that discussion. So pretty cool stuff.
Super cool. BankCon, there's a question for you, Vash. Do you think Disney will go bankrupt in the next 5 to 10 years? Oh my.
Well, yeah, that's an interesting question. I mean, the parks right now bring in so much money. Bankruptcy, as we know it, I would think it's hard to see that being a possibility. Although I will say, as you slip away from what is culturally relevant, and what I mean by that is stories that resonate with the culture currently. As you are out of step with your audience and your fan base and so forth, as you're not doing the things to inculcate that trust and that love that I think a Disney company really did cultivate so effectively for so long, they're going to have financial problems. There's no question about that.
To the next one here. I'm trying to go through these as quickly as possible, folks. We see you out there. We hear you. You are noticed, and we appreciate you. Go and Shogi, could part of the decline in interest in the pre-shows be people feeling the pressure of cramming in rides just to justify ticket cost? I can see that.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of that for sure. I mean, Go and Shogi, it's very interesting that you actually bring that up, because as prices have continued to escalate, park managers, cast members have noticed how people, when they're actually getting to the park, they get through Main Street much faster. There's a little bit more pep in their step. There's a little bit more hustle to how they move, because, well, people are looking at their vacations and going, hey, it is thousands of dollars to actually be here. It's hundreds of dollars a day to actually be in these parks and so forth. I'm going to get every single bit of value out of that as possible. So I think there is something to be said about that, and maybe why 21 minutes, a little bit too long for a Carousel of Progress production, which is most unfortunate.
Absolutely. And we have Freedom Seeker. Walt said Disneyland would never be finished. He didn't say it would always need to change.
Right.
Quote, Disneyland will never be completed. It will continue to grow as long as there is imagination left in the world. Quote.
Right. Absolutely. And is it growing necessarily with a lack of imagination coming from these Imagineers? That's an interesting dichotomy, right? If the Carousel of Progress is being updated by Walt, I have no issue. The fact that it's being updated by the same Imagineering team that brought us Tiana's Bayou Adventure,
Yikes.
it's not the same exact team. I'm just saying this generation of Imagineers, broadly speaking, but the body of work recently from Imagineering hasn't been all that great. It's been very, very mixed, and even though people have a lot of good things to say about some of the most recent projects, they have to earn it. I don't know if they have with the Carousel Progress yet.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Here we go with the super chat. Matt B707 coming in with the $4.99. Thank you, Matt B. Question for you, Vash. Is the rotating theater in Disneyland still intact? I emphasize the L, ladies and gentlemen, because there's so many different parks around the world. Okay, I know it's a money reason not to move the OG Carousel of Progress to Disneyland and just update Magic Kingdom.
Okay, there have been some conversations about this, about whether or not it's actually still intact. The building is. The rotating mechanism, from what I understand, is not. However, obviously the people in the 1960s were able to get a rotating mechanism for the Carousel of Progress, right? I think it would be straightforward enough to restore it. The problem is whether or not they're actually going to do that. I don't see them, unfortunately, doing that. And quite frankly, it might be an impediment to what they really want people to really interact with, which is the DVC lounge up top, right? That's on the upper floor right there. And if you know the layout of that building, you know that previously for the Carousel Progress, in Disneyland, actually, you used to walk into the stage up a speed ramp, and that was your exit. So how do you make up for that? It's very interesting. There's a lot of questions to be asked on whether or not there is even feasibility in bringing over the Carousel Progress as it currently exists at Disney World to Disneyland. I'd say this, Disney can do anything, and Claude Coates and Walt used to say, it's quite fun to do the impossible. They can do it. They just had to have the courage to pursue it.
We shall see. And Vash, I'll let you take this one because we love your enthusiasm.
Absolutely. Freedom Seeker gifting 5 Sky Watcher memberships right there. Thank you so much for that, Freedom Seeker. You're the best right there. I see Freedom Seeker on, with us with Vash and Vixen and all that. Awesome stuff. And now, guess what? He's going to have 5 new audience members to join him there. Keep It Real Original was the recipient of one of those. Charles Fitzgerald, Highland Haggis Trainer, John Polly, and McLovin. Looks like all of those amazing Skylanders have now become Sky Watchers. Thank you so much. And that, Freedom Seeker, awesome stuff. And doing that for us. Fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I could never match that. Vash has the enthusiasm like no other.
I try. Yeah, I did try. It's one of the reasons for that, MJ, is because, we don't have enough clips and we need more. And it's just, we don't have them yet. But, who knows?
Time to be turning around. If only you could.
I'm trying.
I really think the audience appreciates how much investigating you do and all the deep dives with all the stories and all the news going on. So that makes up for the clips.
All right. Well, hopefully it does, and hopefully you all give me a little bit of patience in that regard. I know Thomas has been waiting for that Vash and Vixen intro for forever, utilizing his music that he wrote like 6-7 weeks ago. He's waiting. We're trying to get it all assembled there, folks. Thank you so much for that. All right, MJ, we are on to the next one, and it is our lead story.
I love that song. On to the next one. See you soon.
The next one. Yep, absolutely. This one, folks, is a big one right here. It's not at all surprising, I think, to those of us who have actually been keeping a close watch on the changes to the theme park environment. But to have it illustrated so perfectly by Caroline Reed from Forbes, man, it just, what the kids say, it hits different, I suspect. Let's go ahead and show you what this is all about. From Forbes, Trade Body reveals the theme park with the highest attendance growth, and it isn't Disney, by Caroline Reed here, senior contributor over there at Forbes, May 31st, 2026. Data from the amusement industry's trade body, the Themed Entertainment Association, or TEA, has revealed the theme park which experienced the greatest growth over the past 2 decades. And surprisingly, it doesn't have Disney's name above the door. There is no doubt that Disney dominates the themed entertainment landscape. Its 14 parks attract a total of 145.2 million guests in 2024, giving it more visitors than any other operator, according to TEA's latest data. What's more, 8 of the world's top 10 most visited theme parks carry Disney's brand, including Magic Kingdom, Orlando, which leads the way with 17.8 million guests streaming through its turnstiles in 2024. It took Disney more than a wave of a magic wand to earn its status. The origins of its theme park division get all the way back to 1955, when Walt himself swung open the doors to Disneyland in California, forever changed the landscape of the leisure sector. Let's see if we can go ahead and continue on right here. And I have a little B-roll package for you to play as well, so we don't have to stare at just this long stream of text all day. I mean, we never want that. I see. Because we're going to be talking about Universal, I think a little bit of B-roll to take us through Universal worlds of not just Universal Studios Hollywood or Islands of Adventure, but also Universal Studios Japan. Very interesting. Let's see right here. if I can go ahead and continue this one. Disney's chief rival, Universal Studios, has got some way to go before it catches up. Owned by Comcast, Universal Parks generated just 8% of the media giant's $123.7 billion in revenue last year, and 8.2% of its $37.4 billion in earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization, or EBITDA, as it's called. However, the division peaked in the fourth quarter with its EBITDA crossing the $1 billion mark for the first time in the company's history. Similarly, its revenue surged during the latter half of the year following the opening of its Epic Universe Megapark in Orlando. It's a common trend. As shown in the charts below, Universal's parks started with lower attendance than Disney's Outposts, so they have been able to surge in growth over the past 20 years in a way in which its rival cannot match. I want to go ahead and put this chart up because it is fascinating to actually see Universal really dominate this chart. That being the theme parks achieving the most growth in the last 20 years. Sorry, I was looking for the words right there. Here you go. The world's most visited theme parks by attendance growth between 2005 and 2024. In first place, we have Universal Studios Japan with 8 million, I do believe, is how this chart is recognized, in growth over the last 20 years. That is astounding, by the way. And I will have to say, I'm going to put it to the side for a little second because it's such an outlier. But in second place, our first Disney theme park on the list, Disney California Adventure with 4.22 on this list right here, number 2 in growth over the last 20 years. Astounding, actually, because I remember when DCA opened. Oh boy, that was February 2001 in them parts. Ooh, I was very young, but I remember going through California Adventure, and it was a dud. It was really bad. It's not great. It's not very fun. But to Bob Iger's credit, I will say, he said, you know what? We got a couple different routes we can go. We could maybe combine Disneyland with Disney California Adventure and make it a big mega park, which was on the table, apparently. We could make it free to play, in which, hey, the gates don't necessarily exist anymore, and we just charge for the attractions on the inside. That was on the table as well. Bob Iger took a different tact. Instead, he opted to spend $1.2 billion on a theme park that was not that old. I think it was just 6 years old at the time, and said, let's go do it right. Let's rethink this and basically bulldoze massive portions of this park, rebuild them better than they were before, add on the necessary elements to actually make this a Disney park. Honestly, worked out. When Disney California Adventure reopens in 2012, I think June of that year, it was extraordinary. You had Buena Vista Street, an entrance portal that DCA had never seen, and honestly, an entrance that honestly rivaled Disneyland's Main Street. You had a nighttime show to keep people there longer, and a big attraction to get people from all over the world to visit that park in the form of Cars Land. And that's why, folks, California Adventure's number 2 on that list. It had an amazing growth potential, but one that was never unleashed effectively because of the lack of investment that was actually made when this park was being constructed. Heck, I believe it. I think they spent less money, or just as much money, on the park as they did the Grand Californian back in the day. Dreadful. It was awful. It's crazy that they did that. But it worked out. Spent the money. And people, the way that Disneyland actually counts attendance is the first click. So obviously you have a large annual pass holder population, right? I mean, throughout the 2010s, I believe they had 1 million annual pass holders up until 2020, obviously, when the annual pass holder program was discontinued and replaced by the Magic Key program. But same effect, right? You have annual pass holders or locals that can get access to both parks. So how do you count them? How do you distinguish between them? It's that first tick. And so many people were going to Disneyland the first thing because DCA didn't really offer them anything. When Cars Land opened, that all changed. You had all these people going to DCA first because they wanted to get Fast Pass for Radiator Springs Racers. And honestly, that trend has accelerated ever since. And while we haven't seen necessarily the growth that we experienced with Cars Land and World of Color and everything else, since then, it's been on a sturdy track right there. And certainly deserves that number 2 spot. But the next 3, Universal Studios Hollywood, Islands of Adventure, and Universal Studios Florida, which is very, very interesting. By the way, number 6 there, we'll talk about that in just a moment. But I want to go ahead and put on some B-roll for you guys while I talk about this. Caroline Reed did fantastic in compiling this data and so forth and bringing it to us and in this way that is easily digestible. So big shout out to her. But Universal Studios Hollywood, it's a big one right there. It's huge because Universal Studios Hollywood, it's not the biggest park in the world. I think it's like half the size of DCA, kind of stretched out. It's pretty small, and yet it was able to obtain massive growth potential. And I think it's because of 2 reasons. One is, at least with the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, I think it opened in 2016 at Universal Studios Hollywood. They were able to rethink the entrance to that park. They were able to rethink how people actually, visited that park in terms of its infrastructure, its parking inventory, and all of that. They were able to improve large portions of that theme park to recognize a big, new addition. Now, Wizarding World, I heard back in the day anyway, didn't move the needle quite as much as they were expecting, but did lay the groundwork for bigger things to come. And I think that happened with Super Nintendo World, okay? When that opened at Universal Studios Hollywood, oh my goodness, it just went crazy, the amount of visitation that they were receiving right there. So much so that they had to actually virtual queue the entire land itself and so forth in order to control demand for it. It was absolutely nuts. But right there, that entrance corridor, that was all new, provided for the opening of Wizarding World back in 2016. And the park still benefits from that whole plaza there today. But it's the Wizarding World that I really want to talk about. When Islands of Adventure, who at that time wasn't wholly owned by the parent company at the time that was taken over by Comcast for that big buyout right there. Islands of Adventure didn't do that well at all. In fact, it almost took down the entire theme park venture that the parent company had at the time when it opened there in 1999. It was not good. And now everybody says Universal Escape had something to do with it, and I do agree. I mean, the marketing wasn't very, very good. But in terms of not just getting the word out there, but just this kind of effective strategy in publicizing that park and really just getting that momentum built up from that populace. It just didn't happen for that park. It just never did. And even though it had great attractions like Spider-Man and so forth, it just could never get them in there. Everything changes in 2010. When Universal Studios opens the initial Wizarding World, the entire theme park community, the industry changed overnight, and that's why it's on this list at number 4, because it just started a wave of guests recognizing that park for as good as it's really always had been. For those 11 years before, people knew it was a great park. It just didn't have momentum. And it had momentum with the Wizarding World. And that started a whole chain reaction. Not only that, but you had Comcast that was able to buy it and say, hey, you know what? We believe in that theme park product. Let's go ahead and do that. And they were looking at butterbeer sales and saying, whoa, extraordinary. But it was like, okay, we believe in doing theme parks. Let's go ahead and open that money fire hose. And so the CEO of Comcast, which is Brian, what's his name? I can't remember right now. I know it's kind of a co-CEO right now, Brian Roberts. Sorry. He also, by the way, Brian Roberts, interesting little factoid. He was not a Bob Iger fan. And so him going into an arms race for competition when it came to theme park product, he was gung-ho about. But they took that great concept in the Wizarding World and said, let's go ahead and adapt another piece of this mythology over for Universal Studios Florida. And that's why it's the next up on this list, because Diagon Alley, boom, it did the same thing, a very similar thing that the Wizarding World actually did for Islands of Adventure. And so between those investments right there, I mean, it just really catapulted Universal into great success. And interestingly enough, Universal Studios Japan cites the same reason as to why its trajectory started to change. Apparently, it was the opening of Wizarding World Japan that really started having people, visit and say, hey, this is a great park too. And it's interesting because unlike Tokyo Disneyland, Comcast actually owns, pretty much from what I'm told, that park outright. So they benefit greatly from having that be as successful as that is. In a similar way that Islands of Adventure, it wasn't fully owned by the parent company at the time, but they were able to buy it back because of the success of Wizarding World. Anyway, when that opens there, people go in droves, and that mix of different IP that they have out there, and this is what I want to go ahead and say as well. IP became like the lifeblood of the industry. Bob Iger had already started that trend after opening the Expedition Everest attraction in Animal Kingdom, right? That's when he was, becoming the CEO. He's looking at it going, wow, he's just spent hundreds of millions of dollars on this new addition, and yet it wasn't themed to one of our popular characters or stories or whatever. Shouldn't that change? And for the traditionalists out there who love original attractions, there's really not a lot of argumentation that can be had when you have Universal doing the same thing that Bob Iger said that they should be doing and being tremendously successful with it, right? Featuring a character that people resonate with is the difference maker in a lot of cases. And it was for Islands of Adventure, it was for Universal Studios Florida, it was for Disney California Adventure with Cars Land. And Universal Japan has taken that to a crazy degree. They have access to, I guess, Snoopy characters, which I didn't even know about, Sesame Street characters, a bunch of anime, including like Free Ren, Demon Slayer, One Piece, and all of that, Mario. And that's why you have, honestly, the 8 million growth that it's experienced over the last 20 years. That's why it's number one. Is because of the emphasis in IP, honestly. I don't like that. I don't like the, the realization or the truth of that. But it's fact. These things, they move attendance. If you are very, very good at your execution of providing fans of those IPs, those franchises, the realization or the fulfillment of the promise that you'll be able to walk into that world and be immersed in this environment, people are going to come. They're going to go there. It's interesting, too, because Disney thought they were going to be able to do that with Star Wars. Just didn't happen. Remember Disneyland doing all kinds of things in order to provide for the infrastructure necessary to account for everybody that they expected would show up at Disneyland. Do you remember, anybody remember out there, Project Stardust, right? Where they started repaving areas of Main Street and different areas of the park because they thought, hey, we're going to get a rush of people who want to go back to Star Wars Galaxy's Edge every single day. Let's go ahead and, get rid of these curbs and so forth. Let's make them gradual, slopes and all of that in order to prevent trip hazards and provide for more accessibility when it comes to the navigation of our parks. It's a bold move. You remember Tropical Hideaway, actually. That little eatery that, found its way into Adventureland. Remember, they actually eliminated retail space in Adventureland for more seating because they expected so many people to come for Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. And did that happen? No. In fact, they blocked out everybody's calendar and made it super restrictive to go. And they built a new parking structure. I think it was 6,800 spaces in the form of the Pixar Palace parking structure. All this stuff didn't show up. The billion-dollar gamble did not pay out. Because, honestly, they didn't keep the consumer, their customer, the fan, in mind. And so Universal was able to provide for the promise, that fulfillment of being able to walk into people's favorite worlds better than Disney. It's a really valuable lesson. Indeed, for sure. Before continuing on with a little bit more of this, MJ, I think we have some people that are so unbelievably supportive. What do you have for us in terms of the amazing amount of support, super chats, and everything else that people are giving us? Please, go ahead. If I can get you on screen. Come on, what's going on there?
It's all
we have
good.
this, we have this. Okay, go ahead, please.
Fantastic B-roll, beautiful views. Thank you so much for providing all this amazing information. We have super chats and some amazing comments from the audience. A couple of them trickling back to the previous segment, but that's okay because it's well worth it. I will highlight the super chats, and I've been practicing the foreign pronunciation of the money there. Just a duchy. Coming in with the 11 heroes, not gyros, euros. Even though I love a good hero, right?
Exactly. I love a good gyro for sure. But the 11 euros, please.
Yeah, the 11 euros. Thank you so much. Just a duchy. She says, I agree with MJ. Thank you, dear. Clips are all well and good, but the effort, the enthusiasm, the research, and the interaction you have with your subscribers, members, is more worth than funny clips.
Awesome. I am so glad to hear that. Just Dutchy, thank you so much for that support. We're gonna get better, obviously, but I do put an enhanced emphasis on presentation and on research, and so sometimes, even this B-roll package took me like an hour. It's just I want people to really enjoy their time and experience here. I'd love to provide as many clips as I possibly could, but sometimes I have to take a back seat for different elements of the production itself. So thank you so much, Dutchy. Very much appreciate that. We'll get better, but thank you so much for that support.
And we have Longuria. Is that pronounced properly?
Longrua, and that's 50,000 Vietnamese dong. But please go ahead.
Yes, 50,000 Vietnamese dong. Thank you. Vash, how do you say this? Longuira. Is that correct? Longuira.
It's like long and then rua.
Longrua. Light bulb moment watching OG HHN. Universal put Pokemon in IOA instead of USF. So they can sell a family-friendly after-hour event for IOA featuring Pokemon. Very interesting.
That is interesting. Yeah, indeed. It's really, really interesting how Universal will balance things out like this, right? They obviously understand that, there are different demographics that can't necessarily be hit with one promotion or one IP or whatever, so they'll spread it out, they'll split it out in these very interesting ways. Obviously, if you're looking for more of an adult horror thing, HHN is certainly the way to go. If you're looking for more family-friendly, you do have that offering over there at Dark Universe and all of that, but really, really profound stuff. I never really thought about it, but IOA having like a Pokemon land or Pokemon-themed after-hour event, MJ, come on, that'd be huge.
Huge. And Pokemon belongs to us, by the way, which I remind my small children every day. You guys don't know anything about Pokemon. Jigglypuff, my favorite. Okay, so we have a little comment here that trickled back, but 21 Royal with cheese. I think they should use the innovations style for Carousel Progress, where they bring over the set props and you can listen to the show as a walkthrough, and this wouldn't cost almost nothing. Very cool comment.
It's a really interesting comment, for sure. 21 Royale with cheese right there. I love this because I've heard this idea in some other places, and this kind of presentation format in which people will actually walk through these displays that have this kind of audio. Maybe, those animatronic figures or, stand-ins for AAs aren't maybe moving, but at least you could kind of get that feel of the presentation or have somewhere where a lot of this originality relies or lies. I think it's really, really interesting. I think I would be up for maybe maintaining that in that fashion if that's the best we can actually get. I think it's, MJ, back me up here, to lose those original 1960s era sets. I don't think that's good for anybody, right?
Absolutely not. It's diminishing the man who created these amazing theme parks that he intended with his own inventions for everyone to enjoy and to be an educational experience, just exactly how the young woman, you played a clip earlier for us. She's a bit of a historian, and she's absolutely correct. We cannot continue to take out basically his signature, right? These are all the things with his signature on it, and they're taking it out slowly but surely until it almost doesn't even become Walt Disney World anymore. And I'm wondering, in 50 years from now, what is it going to be? What is going to be the name of these theme parks? Are they going to be Disney still? I mean, it's just
there is this conversation. I was a little bit tongue-in-cheek when I referenced it on X, but I said, hey, you might as well take out, the first W of Walt Disney World, right? Obviously, that would be Walt. And there have been conversations internally with management
terrible.
about the idea of possibly removing Walt from Walt Disney World and just having it be Disney World because, well, that's how people refer to it as 9 times out of 10. And
Terrible.
It's really sad to think about the idea that Roy's original intention for Walt to be actually provided there, Roy came back, right? Roy came back when he didn't have to. Walt had already told him before Walt passed, hey, look, we got it. Don't worry about it. Enjoy your retirement. Enjoy your life. Walt passes away. That changes that dynamic. Roy stayed away for a little while, kept everybody in suspense, came back and said, you know what? Every single one of my brother's ideas, concepts, developments, all of that, everything that he was working on, we're going forward with it. And Project X, as we know it as Disney World, is no longer. It's gonna be Walt Disney World. Roy was dedicating Walt Disney World to his brother. And fantastic project, obviously.
Yeah.
And honestly, he gave his life in really pursuing that. Roy passes away very quickly after Walt Disney World actually opens. But he felt it important to actually carry out his brother's dream. And the fact that we would even think about getting rid of the first W there, it's no good, MJ, no good.
No good at all. I'm so glad that you gave us some insight on that, Vash, as always, the historian that you are. O2RR, he just made a really nice comment. I had to highlight it. Nice to see Universal Studios Orlando and Islands of Adventure well ahead of the Disney World parks. I agree.
Yeah, I mean, and the important thing to point out here is that, remember, these parks started off in a worse place than some of the others on that list. That's the only reason why they were able to get as high as they were on this list of this top 5, top 20, whatever, in the 20 years of growth, right? But I will say, the fact that Universal has been able to maintain this momentum for so long and really, provide these amazing experiences that people resonate with and people will actually want to see, and people continue to come back and have been supporting their latest and greatest projects like Epic Universe to the extent that they have. It really is profound, MJ. I mean, you just wouldn't have imagined this 20 years ago, and here we are.
Yeah, I really think that the fandom, I don't think it hurt as bad, like a stab to the heart when you take Jaws out, right? When they took out Jaws from Universal Studios, but now they're taking out Carousel of Progress. What hurts more? People, they get in an uproar. Oh, they took away Jaws and Back to the Future. But I think it hurts more seeing Walt's signature attractions being ripped out of his own parks than seeing Jaws and Back to the Future ripped out. That's just me.
I think
It's
there's
just my
a case to be
opinion.
made. There's a case to be made for that. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of the attachment that we have to some of these things is going to be nostalgia, and I think kids growing up, they might have different nostalgia when it comes to Carousel Progress and Back to the Future and Jaws and so forth. But it always hurts, and for something like the Carousel Progress, it's something that's you could maintain, and yet the company decides not to.
Yeah.
I think really says something. Back to the Future, okay, maybe, management at the time, okay, we're going to go ahead and rethink this or whatever. Simpsons, yeah. Carousel Progress is not that dynamic, so but it's an interesting point.
I'm so glad the B-roll is like right on target with this comment because I highlighted it because I know you're a fan of anime. Go and show
Sure.
you. If they can get Naruto into the next fan fest, they would print money.
Oh yeah, I know. I mean, I've heard discussions about all kinds of anime, but Naruto, yeah, I would imagine that's the top of the list right there for sure. It is really interesting to see just how many different anime have been featured at these parks in Universal Japan, like for example Jujutsu Kaisen and all of that. Free Ren. I didn't even know they had Free Ren, and yet they have it as an attraction over there in Universal Japan. It's crazy, right? Universal's taking note of this. They're taking note of this phenomenon in which anime has really caught on with Western audiences, and they're looking to incorporate it. Now, we're only seeing that temporarily in FanFest, but I mean, based on the success of the One Piece show and everything else, that's not going to be temporary for very much longer. So that's 2 points.
Do you have one? Do you have time for one more comment? We have an audience member that has been trying for their whole dear life of your show to make a comment.
Come on in. Let's go ahead and make the dream come true.
Poor thing, Bink Con. This is for you, Vash. It says YouTube wouldn't let me type everything I wanted to say. My friend said there are possible expansions at Walt Disney World. He wouldn't tell me what is coming. What do you think is coming to Walt Disney World, Vash?
Well, obviously, I think the big thing, people say Fifth Gate. You can put that off a little bit. But we know of a couple things that the company has ideas for. So I think Animal Kingdom and Disney's Hollywood Studios are the parks that would probably benefit from expansion the most. Right, they're the smallest parks on property right there. Animal Kingdom is like a half-day park at this point. It needs more attractions, it needs more rides, it needs a lot more things for people to actually do, and a less of an emphasis applied to the safari itself, and more emphasis applied to other attractions, I think will be better for that park long term, only because it might be able to keep the park open longer, I should say. So the safari, right? People love that attraction. I love that attraction too. But the problem is that when it's the main driver for people visiting, when the animals go to sleep, so does everybody else, and so does everybody leave, and well, now you have that park closing at 6. They need some type of entertainment in order to keep people on there longer and more attractions. There's no question about that. And I think that's what they're pursuing. But Magic Kingdom, watch that space right there, folks, because they did not clear out all of Rivers of America just for Cars Land and Villains Land. Okay, they have been talking about hotels really attached to Magic Kingdom in a not too dissimilar fashion that you actually see for Disneyland Paris or California Adventure or Epic Universe in the modern context. They've been talking about that for a while. Watch that space, because that, I think, is the next shoe to drop after these expansions in the form of Cars Land and Villains Land.
And before we continue, I think this comment is clip worthy. Let's see here.
Where does he think he's going? When you gotta go, you gotta go.
That's all I have for
executed. I love that, MJ. Love it for sure. I think Ken Reinhardt, when he was on that Park Place, talked about how somebody would, hopped the from the safari in order to conduct a live stream. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty great.
A lot of good commentary from the audience, and I will let you have at it again, Vash.
Absolutely. Going back to this Caroline Reed article from Forbes right here, very interesting stuff taking place right now. The TEA data shows that since Universal added the lands to its parks, that being the Wizarding World, attendance has surged by an average of 34.2%. The first to get this magic touch was Universal's Islands of Adventure in 2010. Since then, visitor numbers have increased by a staggering 58.9% to 9.5 million guests. Whoa! Big gainers there. No question about that. It is remarkable. Now, it's interesting because Universal Studios Japan, as I was saying before, actually attributed that same level of growth in part to the Harry Potter attractions. It says right here, quote, let's see, testimony to its popularity, a carbon copy of the land opened with Universal Beijing's Mega Resort in 2021, and was also added to its parks in Hollywood and Osaka in 2016 and 2014, respectively. It helped to give the latter the greatest attendance boost in percentage and actual attendance terms of any of the top 25 most visited theme parks over the past 2 decades. In 2016 alone, its attendance, this being Universal Studios Japan, rose by 4.3% to 14.5 million, and the TEA put it down to the lasting effect of Potter's spell, even though the land had opened 2 years prior. Crazy. Quote, Universal Studios Japan had another strong year with more than 14 million visits, largely due to the continuing appeal of its Harry Potter attractions, said the TEA report in 2016. Crucially, it added that, quote, the attendance at theme parks in the rest of Japan was largely flat. So in spite of things staying relatively mild the way they were, Universal experienced surging demand based on one IP. The right IP in the right hands, executed the right way, will get you attendance. People will come. However, you can't just throw money at it, right? And you can't be doing it haphazardly like we saw with Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. It must be in pursuit of the promise that you can actually step foot in your favorite stories. One of those handled it effectively more than the other. I'll put it that way. Last but not least here, I want to go ahead and bring this out. Now, number 6 on this list was actually Disneyland in Anaheim. Now, this is the one that actually breaks the trend, right? Because the others, you can say, well, they had room to grow. Universal Japan, I don't even know if that was the case, but it certainly, okay, benefited from these new attractions, expansions, whatever. But Disneyland, you could definitely say, hey, look, listen, I mean, Disneyland has been growing by leaps and bounds and so forth, and has really benefited by a spectacular opening in 1955 onward. It's a 70-year-old park, and yet it made number 6 on this list. How is that possible? Well, you've got an annual pass holder base that has been going to Disneyland every single year, and obviously there have been new people to buy into those systems, those packages and everything like that, and go, and that's part of that attendance. But it's just been on a steady rate of increase and expansion. Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, part of it, right, but didn't lead to tremendous growth that maybe they were expecting from like a Wizarding World. But it slowly but surely, right, they've added to its attractions lineup, like Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, for example, right? With stuff like 2005 saw the opening of Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin right there for the 50th anniversary. And that 50th anniversary time period is really interesting because that's when there was a resurgence in people really loving that park and really wanting to be there all the time. So it's benefited right there for sure. 2.78, number 6 on this list. But it's interesting because Magic Kingdom is located on this list, but far from this top 5 right here. I believe it's 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I think it's top 10, if I'm not mistaken. So Disneyland actually growing at a accelerated rate than Magic Kingdom in terms of growth. I gotta be honest, guys. I'm pretty sure Magic Kingdom will be surpassed by Disneyland when we get the numbers back for 2025 in that TEA report. We're waiting for it right now. We haven't gotten it yet, but I'm pretty confident Disneyland will take the crown right there. Might be wrong, but I think I'm right. I'm gonna bet this is the way this is gonna go right here. But fascinating stuff. Really great compilation of data as provided by Caroline Reed right there. Really, really cool that we actually got this breakdown of all this amazing data. We've been saying it. There's been a gravitational shift towards Universal for so long, but now we have the data to back it up, and in a mainstream publication, which is very, very interesting. All right, let's see right here. We have this guy. I want to go ahead and say that, hey, the good times, they're still rolling for Comcast in the form of their newest theme park right here, Universal Epic Universe. In its first year of operations, helped drive 12 consecutive months of year-over-year growth in Orange County tourism tax revenue. Epic Universe is also expected to generate $2 billion for the state of Florida and create more than 17,500 jobs nationwide. Whoa! Big time stuff right here. They have been able to take the success of Wizarding World and build from that, in which you have amazing, like double-digit gains in terms of annual revenue growth from Epic Universe. I mean, it's crazy. It's extraordinary what Comcast has been able to accomplish, and they believe in the theme park product, and they were richly rewarded for it. It's interesting how that all works. Anywho's, let's go ahead and move on to the next big thing right here. Apparently, Walt Disney World, well, they're reinventing themselves, just not in the way that maybe all of us wanted. No, they're redoing their website. Yeah, it's fantastic, guys. It's a little bit late to do this. Blog Mickey right here. Walt Disney World has announced an overhaul of its website designed to make planning easier. Here's a look at the 4 key areas Disney is aiming to improve and the new tools that will be introduced. From Blog Mickey, Mike there, Disney World announces new planning tools and website experience improvements. Disney World revealed a new planning experience coming to DisneyWorld.com, built around 4 significant upgrades: flexible data range search, side-by-side resort comparison, AI-generated resort summaries, and pricing and availability calendar. The changes are designed to reduce the number of times guests need to visit the site before they feel ready to book. It's interesting that this is brought out here because I think Marvin really summed it up nicely when I was talking to him at that Park Place in the show leading up to this one. He was saying, look, people didn't necessarily need to think about their vacations all that much. They were so into booking a vacation and coming back and all of that. Something there has been lost. And maybe Walt Disney World management is looking to do something about that. These friction points, well, maybe have been enough to maybe stall out people and their booking of vacations. Very interesting. Let's see right here. Flexible date range search. So the first update we'll cover gives guests the ability to search for trips across a range of dates, rather than locking in specific dates. Today, guests must enter a precise check-in and check-out date before browsing resort options. And that changes with the new experience. With this update, guests will be able to search across a broader window. An example given was summer break. Kids are out of school for multiple months, and perhaps you want to find the cheapest time to visit during Cool Kids Summer. The new planning feature will allow guests to search across a span of dates. The site will return options across a specific date, specified date range, surface the lowest available price, and flag offer availability. Package accommodations, resort with tickets, resorts only will all be presented together. Oh, I see. So this is really fundamental kind of breakdown look at when is the best time to go, being able to look at these things at a glance rather than having to study it multiple times with this website that keeps breaking. It's kind of a big deal right here. The update mirrors the flexible date range search that Disney has already introduced to its dining reservation system, bringing the same logic to the broader trip planning flow. Side-by-side resort comparison. With over 25 resort options on property, choosing a hotel has long required guests to toggle between multiple pages. And Disney is addressing that directly with a comparison tool built into the booking flow, similar to the tool seen by Hotels.com. How interesting. Guests will be able to select 2 or more resorts and view them side by side. Differences in theme, pricing, dining, and amenities will be laid out for easy review. Disney demonstrated the feature using the Grand Floridian and the Polynesian as examples. Two resorts share a price tier, but differ meaningfully in character and offerings. The tool is positioned as a confidence builder. Disney noted during a recent media briefing that guests frequently visit the website multiple times before booking. The main reason is because they struggle to weigh their options efficiently. And this comparison tool is a direct answer to that. AI generated resort summaries. Oh, how interesting. Alongside the comparison tool, Disney is introducing AI generated summaries on individual resort pages. When a guest drills into a specific resort, a contextualized summary will appear at the top. It will explain why the resort might be a good fit based on what the guests were actually looking for. As we covered in our look at AI coming to the My Disney Experiences app, great. Disney is leaning on AI across the planning experience to surface relevant information faster. And the goal is to spare guests from sifting through long detail pages to find exactly what they need. Yes, AI coming into play right here. Will you, as a guest, actually be further informed before booking a vacation? And will that meaningfully amount to increased sales? Or maybe an increased buy-in from you as a guest? I don't know. Pricing and availability calendar. The 4th edition is a pricing and availability calendar view. Guests can pull up a calendar view that shows pricing variations day by day. It makes it easy to see whether shifting a day check-in by a few days unlocks a new lower rate or opens up availability on a specific offer. This feature looks similar to how the calendar looks like for booking flights in Google. Very interesting. This is particularly useful for guests chasing promotions. Availability on those offers can vary by date. Rather than running prepared or repeated searches to find an open window, guests can scan the calendar and spot it at a glance. Very interesting indeed. So they are doing a lot to the Walt Disney World website. The question is, why are they doing it now? Because here's the thing, guys. The Walt Disney World website, quite frankly, has been in shambles for 20 years. I mean, for as long as I've been doing this, honestly. It's shared the same architecture, the same language, and so forth, and they haven't really meaningfully done a lot to it. In fact, I heard a story, guys, that apparently a prominent professor in the world of tech actually provided their students a look at the Walt Disney World website. And he provided it as an example, a textbook example, in fact, of what not to do when designing a website. Yeah. And that was a couple of years ago. So it's only gotten worse since then. Apparently, the amount of cookies that are actually embedded into your system when visiting it, the amount of restarts and reloads, and it's just issues in general with that website. It made it on the list of what not to do for a prominent professor trying to teach his students about IT. Wild. And so I gotta think the reason they're doing this now, I mean, look, it might be consistent with Thomas Maslam's platform, right? Thomas Maslam is saying, hey, look, listen, I want to go ahead and be more customer focused. We want to go ahead and get rid of some of these friction points that we've been living with for so long and really do this revolution that I think will amount to better guest surveys and a better customer experience. That might be, it's possible. But I'm pretty sure something else is going on here. Why are we getting big promotions in the summer again, even though we have new attractions to experience in the form of Bluey or Muppets Rock and Roller Coaster, etc.? Why are they giving incentives for Magic Key holders, a thing that has never happened before with the Magic Key program? They have never provided incentives to renew your Magic Key, and yet they're doing that now in the form of, these dining passes that you receive upon your renewal. Why is this happening? People are figuring out the value for Disney might not be there. And especially in this time right now when things are so expensive, when gas is incredibly expensive, just to get to Walt Disney World is expensive, much less actually take part in your favorite theme parks, your attractions, Lightning Lane, and hotels, and so forth. So what are they doing? They're reducing every single friction point possible, including price. And maybe that includes this website right here. We've seen some reduced friction points in the form of the My Disney Experience app and also, too, the Disneyland app Now you can actually book a reservation if you have a Magic Key or a ticket or whatever within the app rather than having to be redirected to an external web portal. Big stuff. Indeed. But Disney doesn't do stuff like this out of the kindness of their heart. There's always another motivation. And I do believe they're experiencing a little bit of attrition now. And especially with enhanced competition in the form of Epic Universe and what Comcast is going to have on offer, not just this year, like with Fast and the Furious and Hollywood, but in the foreseeable future, trying to get ahead of it. Competition, guys, it's a very good thing. Because I don't think Disney would have changed this website, even if they were forced to. I think they only change it because there's a external stimuli pushing this along, and I think that's in the form of Universal. And we just covered a whole story in which they were growing by leaps and bounds. I'm sure Disney is starting to take notice indeed. MJ, come on in. We got some super chats on here. What are they saying?
We got O2RR coming in with the $9.99. Thank you so much, O2RR. Going back to attractions being removed and IP based, if I may. For example, the Lost Continent was just another attraction. Celestial Park is the central headquarters of Epic. Maybe that's why Celestial Park is doing so well. Yeah, that rumor actually came to pass, right? Celestial Park is now, is that open to the public, like an open hub?
Yeah, it just recently, very recently, within the last couple of days, actually experienced its last day that conventioners going to, I think, a beauty convention could actually get access to Celestial Park and Epic Universe for free, as long as they actually showed their admission into the convention itself, which is very, very interesting. So, I mean, it's something's going on there, and Universal's looking at that and seeing whether or not that's viable for the long term or in a larger scale, maybe for day guests and so forth. It's really interesting. Lost Continent, sad to see that we're getting rid of that, but it's got to be replaced by an IP, or at least that's the rumor, and I have no reason to believe otherwise. So. Very astute observation there, O2RR. Thank you so much. And by the way, O2RR has been really, he's been keeping track of the various programming that we have as part of the That Park Place Network. So compliments to him. It's been pretty cool to see.
Doesn't miss a beat. We really appreciate your patronage. I thought this was funny. Salivating Steve, I hope I said that properly. You need a degree in Disney just to plan a vacation. It's too complicated. But I was thinking the other day, because I use the apps for Universal and Disney, and you and I have had many discussions about my Disney Experience app, how it reroutes you to the web browser. We joke around, and I don't have that problem with the Universal app. When I go on there to book a resort, buy tickets, or get express, whatever I'm doing, it keeps me in the app. I don't know if anyone else has that. Please feel free to comment in the live chat, and I'll try to grab it. But it's pretty seamless to plan a Universal trip versus a Disney trip. And the only thing that has my radar, going up, I'm like, with all these changes on the My Disney Experience app, making it easier for people to plan their trip, will it put travel agents out of business, essentially? Not right away, but in the future. Is that what they want?
Ideally, they'd love to be working directly with the consumer, right? Because obviously there's a revenue share thing that happens with travel agents and so forth. That, why share when you can take the full amount? So obviously reducing in some of those friction points maybe goes along with that philosophy. But MJ, are you suggesting that a Universal service has more features and functionality than Disney?
I'm like,
I just don't believe that.
I'm a local. I'm just a few hours away from the park, so I use those apps all the time, and I haven't had any issues with the Universal app. I mean, a long time ago, I want to say like maybe 4 4 or 5 years ago, I had trouble. But now Universal is getting really, really, really good at streamlining their services that they have to offer on their app. I can do anything. I can get I don't need to make a dining reservation necessarily, but I can order food for mobile order pickup. Tickets, everything, book a resort stay, everything is on there. I haven't had any issues. I am looking in the live chat if anyone else has an issue, but this is actually really funny. My sister go and show me. My sister plans all the Disney trips. She enjoys the organization of it like a psycho. I'm that psycho too. I love doing it. Oh, friends and family, they're like, I'm going here, I'm going there. I'm like, okay, I got you. What are we doing? And I plan the trip for them. It's fun. It's fun.
Well, some people planning the trip is part of the trip. There's no question about that. But for everybody, including those trip planners, process can be a little easier, and so I think they're really looking at that. But I'm just shocked, MJ. I'm just shocked. I mean, you're gonna have to scrape me off the ground, MJ.
Yeah.
From just toppling over in surprise and suspense that Universal actually offers just a little bit more in terms of convenience and features and functionality than Disney. I just cannot believe that.
It just doesn't reroute me to the web browser, Vash. It's so weird. Yeah. Strangest thing. I mean, again, I could be wrong. I mean, I don't know. It's just O2RR. Here we go. He just wanted to thank you. It says, thank you both for the shout out. We do appreciate you so much, O2.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, O2RR, for the amazing support that you've provided us for the time that we've been on YouTube. Very much appreciate you. MJ, we got another story right here.
Absolutely.
This one, I don't like covering this stuff. I don't like covering it.
Have at it.
Just like, you got it, MJ. Very much appreciate you. We'll bring her on in just a second. But boy, here we go. Walt Disney World News Today. Guests already defacing queue at the Rock and Roller Coaster starring the Muppets attraction. This by Amanda Finn over there, May 30th, 2026, right here. You can look at that. That is not a decal, okay? That's the underside. The original paint, actually, on the Rock and Roller Coaster building being exposed. Now, it's great. After opening just a few days ago on May 26th, guests have already started peeling off the walls along the standby queue. Rock and Roller Coaster starring the Muppets at Disney's Hollywood Studios. Shortly after the opening of the ride, there were reports of entire sections of paint being peeled off along the queue of Rock and Roller Coaster. With strips of gray paint peeled away, we can see through the underlayer of paint. Once guests realized they could peel the paint, it seems many decided to remove the paint altogether, leaving many streaks throughout the walls and the queue. See right here, this is the kind of piano keys at the base of the guitar at Rock and Roller Coaster. That's already starting to scrape away. Fantastic. We saw remnants of peeled paint gathering in areas beside the queue today. Guests have peeled the paint from the walls and tossed it aside onto the ground. Here we saw gray strips of paint strewn across the piano keys beneath the guitar outside of the attraction. You can see right there what those strips of paint actually look like that guests are peeling away at right there. Peeling the outer layers of the queue right there. You can see just more people scraping away, I guess. No good. Don't like to see that. But it's even worse from Coaster K24 right there on X. Definitely give him a follow. He is really, really awesome when it comes to his updates. She didn't like her dark gray repaint. This was such a rush job and it's already falling apart. You can see right there. Big streaks of this thing being peeled away. And very easily, as being demonstrated right there. Peeled and peeled away. And by the way, that's not just on the exterior. It's on the interior as well. Today's damage in the Rock and Queue is the railing peeling in the holding area before the pre-show. Rush job. That's what it is. Should have had primer on this. Should have maybe sanded some surfaces down in order for this paint to adhere better. Look, I understand. Guests shouldn't be peeling. No question about that. But it's not so easy to peel when that paint is applied properly. You know guests are going to do this. You know guests are going to rough up these areas and so forth when you hold people for an extended period of time in any location. Unfortunately, when it comes to the United States, people get, a little destructive in a way that, interestingly enough, Japanese tourists don't. And in a way that maybe Parisian tourists do more than Western tourists. That's a whole other story. It's going to happen. It's happening here. Imagineering, where you at? You gotta know this. This is why institutional memory is important. You gotta put the primer on, guys. You gotta get this stuff to stick. And so, how long is this gonna last with us? I have no idea. Because usually, previously, Imagineering kind of held on to attraction in the first 2 weeks and then handed off to ops later on. From what I understand now, that process takes place much faster. So I don't even know if Walt Disney Imagineering is in the equation anymore. Now it's maintenance's job to somehow make the best that they can with this. Yeah, look, I was complimentary of the Muppets attraction. I think there are some things that are lacking, specifically the show elements inside the actual coaster itself and the coaster cars, but c'est la vie. Pre-show, good stuff. People are skipping that already. Great. And now the bulk of the work that was actually done, that being the paint job on the exterior of this thing, is already coming off. Just disappointing. I just don't like to see it. I don't like to see it, but that's what we're facing right now. It's really, really sad. MJ, though, we got to come back on because we got to celebrate something really, really big, according to one of our amazing supporters. I think you're looking at the same thing I'm looking at, right? Are you?
Here she comes to save the day. Just a duchy for €2. Cheers to the 6K subscribers. Congratulations.
6,000 subscribers. Whoa, that is a tremendous milestone. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming on in and hitting that subscribe button. Very much appreciate that. Awesome stuff. To see where we are right now, it's heartwarming because, man, I tell you what, when I started this, I was like, man, if even 10 people get to see what I'm doing, that'd be awesome. That'd be great. But you guys have been so tremendously supportive. I mean, the sky really is the limit.
Now
So
we're
thank
going to
you
have a
so
party
much for that.
highlighting all the comments. Go and Shogi fireworks. Follow the Bradley's fun. Yay! And
cool.
another one from him. Congratulations. O2R popping bottles of champagne. And thank you so much, everybody, for your participation in the live chat. We love your comments, and we see you, every single one of you.
That's really cool. That's really great. Thank you so much, guys, for supporting us the way you have, and to see all the celebratory stuff out there. It's pretty heartwarming. So thank you, and just Dutchy, awesome stuff for bringing that to my attention. Because honestly, I haven't been looking at the numbers all that closely. I've been so steeped in research and providing an amazing presentation and show for you guys that boy, you guys reminding me. It's pretty cool. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Very, very cool. We got at least time for try to hit 2 stories, but we'll at least hit one there for you before Ron's excellent presentation over there on the dish at Follow the Bradley's Fun, which we all look forward to. We'll skip the Star Wars stuff, I think, at least for right now. I do want to cover it, but a little Star Wars out, you know what I'm saying? So let's go ahead and go on to the Disneyland Resort with DCA, Disney California Adventure. That's been, racking up the charts when it comes to all of that attendance over the last 20 years. You'll remember this one right here, this piece of concept art that, I think it was Josh Giamaro himself brought out for a interesting D23 presentation. I believe the first time we heard about this, correct me if I'm wrong, it was at 2024, 2024's version of the D23 Ultimate Fan event right there. And, there you go. You now have Coco coming in to Disney California Adventure, or any park, frankly, for the first time ever. Opening, I don't know when, but hey, it's coming to DCA. And everybody was like, hey, that's very, very interesting. Where's it going to go? Because a boat ride in DCA, I mean, a lot of people are excited to see it. A lot of people are like, hey, this is going to be a really cool thing. Problem is that a boat ride takes up a lot of land. So it's like, okay, well, where exactly is this going to take place in this historic theme park right here? Because there's not a lot of space to go around, and usually that means losing something. Now, interestingly enough, in terms of attractions or retail or shops or dining, it looks like we're not maybe losing anything. But that doesn't mean that we're without casualty. And it looks like we experienced our first here very, very recently. You can see right here where this Coco edition is going to actually go. If you're not familiar with this theme park, don't worry, I'll run you down right here. But in this space that this concept art shows, this is actually the previous parade gate that actually sat alongside one of the helixes of the Incredicoaster right next door. So a lot of people are like, okay, what's going to happen to parades? Well, we might have an answer here. You can see right here that they've gotten rid of this parade gate as it previously existed. See right here, that little gap. Well, they used to have a bunch of trees and this gate that you see currently. All of that is now gone behind those construction walls. And well, in terms of what might be happening to parades in general, we've gotten our first look here. From Scott Gooston, Madame Leota's Swinging Wake, a Haunted Mansion street party, is coming to Oogie Boogie Bash this year. The street party, quote, will bring familiar and iconic moments from the Haunted Mansion to the streets of Disney California Adventure, which is a little bit interesting because Haunted Mansion is actually in the other park, not necessarily in Disney California Adventure. I don't really actually know what it has to do with California. But, c'est la vie. I mean, you know, Frightfully Fun Parade, which this is taking the space of, didn't really have anything to do with California either. So, you know, little observation. Anyway. But like I said before, Frightfully Fun Parade. That was a big draw for Oogie Boogie Bash. And we have actually said on the various programs, at least on T3PL Live that I can recall, if they get rid of Frightfully Fun Parade, that affects the valuation of Oogie Boogie Bash. Well, apparently this is going to take its place, at least for the foreseeable future. As outlined right here from Walt Disney World News Today, Oogie Boogie Bash will not offer Frightfully Fun Parade in 2026 due to construction at Disney California Adventure Park. This Alice Kennedy right here, June 2nd, 2026. There will be no Frightfully Fun Parade during Oogie Boogie Bash in 2026 due to construction. Instead, Disney will host Madame Leota's Swinging Wake, a Haunted Mansion street party. Okay. Missing from the confirmed Oogie Boogie Bash entertainment is the Frightfully Fun Parade, which took place twice a night, each night for party goers. This is not so good. This is the one that featured Ichabod Crane running around the park, evading the Headless Horseman, who typically led the parade right there. All of that gone in lieu of this construction right here. So, let me go ahead and break it down as to what might be impacting this for people who might be unfamiliar with this area. Here you go. Here's Disneyland Resort. You can see right there on the left of frame, we have the various parking lots, the Disneyland Hotel, the parking structures, all of that. If we go here, that is Disneyland, and just below that is Disney California Adventure. In this corner right here is where they are building the new Coco ride, and apparently all those buildings, all the infrastructure, that's going to remain. Instead, they're going to reroute this road right here, conceivably, and get this built alongside that. And you can see right here the back of that parade gate that used to let in for parades for this park right here. That is what is being currently affected right now. We can actually see some video of that actually by Theme Park Conductor on X. See right there. Let's go ahead and mute that. Yeah, that's that little strip of land right there. Now they have constructed like this temporary road there. Don't quite know what that's for. I think that's for maintenance. I was thinking it might have been for parades, but apparently that's not the case. You can see right here what that actually looks like. It's a very small parcel. that they're actually building this on, which has got a lot of people concerned about maybe the quality of this experience. But they're going forward with it, and we'll have to see what it actually is like when these things open up. But we don't have parades in this park. Now, Walt Disney World News Today is saying the absence of the parade is likely due to construction, and this could last a few party seasons as construction ramps up on the new Coco-themed attraction in Pixar Pier, right next to one of the parade gates. Indeed. But they're saying it could last for a couple of seasons. Mice Chat here, new for 2026, Madame Leota's Swinging Wake, a Haunted Mansion street party, will feature ghoulishly good times inspired by the beloved Haunted Mansion attraction. The new street party will feature a spirited seance, swinging wake filled with happy haunts and ghostly dancing, but the new street party comes at the cost of the previous Frightfully Fun parade, which will go into mothballs due to construction to the new Coco attraction, which blocks the west side of the parade route. We hope there's a way for this parade to return in the future. Marty, on the other hand, Marty Snyder, an amazing guest on our previous programs like T3PO Live and so forth. Hey, we got to have him back on here to talk about a little bit of this. I've been wanting to get this guy in the studio right here. I think he called me on the phone. I wasn't able to return his call. Marty, if you're out there, I want to go ahead and feature you here. But he says this. Also, the Imagineers I've spoken with, Coco might be ending parades in DCA permanently. That's actually the way the company would like it to go. He was saying that, look, the other thing you have to realize about this Disney California Adventure is that parades are also an impediment to these kind of food carts or these the food booths that they have out there in a similar fashion that DCA has its food booths for its various festivals. Epcot, I should say, has its various festivals out there in Walt Disney World. DCA has a similar thing with these food booths. And when these are out, a parade can't go. So why offer entertainment, something that they actually spend money on to actually perform for guests, when we could just have these food booths out there year-round and we could make money off of this performance corridor? And that's exactly what it is. DCA was built with a performance corridor going through its park for the purpose of parades, and now we might be losing them forever, conceivably, because, well, Disney would rather sell something to you. It's just really kind of disheartening because we've seen the elimination of so much of what made this park really special. We've seen them, change the processes and procedures when it comes to the various bars there. And I understand we look down on the bars generally speaking, but for some people, that's how they connect with the Disney Park experience, especially pass holders and regulars and tourists and so forth and all of that. They like to engage in that kind of thing. And we've just seen some of those things be whittled away. We've seen the Hyperion. I mean, this 2,000-seat venue right here has been empty for years. In fact, I believe it's been 3 years since Rogers the Musical was actually in there. And before that, it was dormant for 3 years. And Rogers the Musical only lasts a couple months. So effectively, this has been dormant for 6 years, collectively. Nothing in there. 2,000-seat theater. Nothing. We're going to lose more with Muppets. Not Muppets. Muppets was in this park. But Monsters Incorporated. That's going away for Avatar, apparently. And so this is going to be just a construction wasteland right here. No parades to be featured in this park for the foreseeable future. And we don't have entertainment in a lot of these venues that are currently empty. It's just kind of, it's tough to see because this park was on a really great trajectory, and I'm not saying it's necessarily off just because it's lost a parade, but it's just this emphasis on these kind of revenue stream options, right? These revenue sources in the form of these food booths or a lightning lane. The Disneyland Resort has taken such an incredible hit on entertainment in general that to lose yet another thing, this is kind of a blow, to be honest with you. And that's why I wanted to go ahead and provide this to you, because I think there's a way for parades to be retained, just they're not going to pursue it. And so that's got a lot of people worried, I think. I don't know. This one, not so great. Now, I think, let's see right here. Lee Dizzle, 2972. Let's see if I can actually pull this up right here. That means no Viva Navidad this year. I've been trying to get some confirmation on that and whether Viva Navidad is actually there. I would imagine it is. I haven't gotten confirmation that it is not at all coming. That's obviously a smaller presentation, and so that should be still on the way. Viva Navidad, that takes place every single Christmas season right there at Disney California Adventure in this particular part of the park. That should be there, but we don't know yet. We haven't gotten the full listing of Christmas festivities this year as of yet. It's just kind of, I don't know. The erosion of this kind of entertainment. We talked about Fantasmic in previous shows as well. It's just, things are getting a little, they're getting a little worse as time goes on right there. You have these kind of declining by degrees, as we used to call it back in the fandom. It's just not great. And I'm hoping something changes in that regard soon. But I don't know. I just don't know. The parades at Disneyland, right? We used to have 2 parades a day. We used to have a nighttime parade and a daytime parade for years and years and years. That started to change in the modern era a little bit. But we really got a first-hand look in what Disney actually thinks about entertainment and parades specifically when the nighttime parade, Paint the Night, was back in, it was playing at Disneyland, right? And it's like, okay, well, you have obviously the, the Christmas Fantasy Parade that plays in the daytime. People thought, okay, let's just, they're going to have Christmas Fantasy Parade playing the day, and Paint the Night is still going to be performed at night during the 70th anniversary. Well, that didn't happen. Paint the Night went dark for a period of time while Christmas Fantasy Parade played during the Christmas season because, well, Disney just wanted to pay for one set of actors. They didn't want to pay for 2 parades. Just want to pay for 1. I don't know, guys. Doesn't look good. Doesn't look good. I don't know if that growth trajectory that we actually mapped out for DCA, I don't know how long that's going to last. Maybe we're talking about another park in the number 2 spot when it comes to the parks that have grown the fastest and furthest in the last 20 years. It's an interesting idea. Let's see right here. MJ, are you with us? And what are the people saying about this particular story, please?
Oh man, it's there's a lot going on, but we have Go and Shogi here. I'm torn because with the Avengers construction, there is no way around the parade route to get across the park. It gets really difficult to navigate during a parade. You guys would know more about that. This is your home park, right?
Yes, this is my home park right there, and Go and Shogi is exactly right. So there's another aspect of this that might be displacing this parade, and it all comes in the form of the Avengers campus construction. I'll go ahead and pause this, remove that, put that on screen. You can see right here, in the center of your screen is where Avengers Campus is. And yes, it's very tiny at the moment. It's like a back alley or whatever. But you could see this big expansion space right here. That was set aside for Avengers Campus, actually. And that area is quickly filling up for the new Infinity Defense attraction, along with Stark Flight Lab. What Go and Shogi is saying is that the parade building that houses that parade is right here. So to navigate across this active construction site here might also be an impediment. That's true. That's a great possibility right there. Now, I would guess that they can get out at least some of that parade infrastructure for this new swinging wake that they're going to have for the Oogie Boogie Bash. So it's going to be interesting to see how that is actually pulled off. And a lot more questions than answers is what I'm saying. But thank you so much, Go and Shogi, for everything that you actually do. And I know you're working on a delectable sandwich for all of us. So good luck with that.
Everyone stay tuned. I think we're going to premiere the McVash meal next week. I won't say which day. It could be Wednesday. It could be Thursday. So stay tuned, everybody, because that's going to be really, really interesting. Amazing stuff right there from that chef
Cannot wait.
extraordinaire. We have 21 Royal with Cheese. I used to go to DCA just for the shows at the Hyperion. You know what, Vash? When you were pointing out the building, I'm not as familiar with Disneyland as you are because that's your home park. It reminds me of the empty building we have in Tomorrowland here at Walt Disney World. There's a lot of just empty buildings doing absolutely nothing. And yet it's like other things are being torn to be replaced with other thing. It's like, where's the expansion happening?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's kind of interesting because you have these empty venues like I think that was Stitch's Great Escape back in the day, and before that it was Alien Encounter.
Right.
You know, these empty spaces you just never like to see because obviously that's capacity, right? People could be enjoying things within those spaces, and to see them empty is just a little bit sad. I understand Disney has them for a variety of reasons, but the fact that you can't have a show in this Hyperion Theater, this 2,000 seat theater, MJ, this building's massive. It's huge. That is most upsetting because, I mean, they used to show like, 6 shows a day in there a lot of times, and a lot of fun to be had with the various productions that have been there, particularly from Aladdin, Frozen, and the others over the years. So really sad to see.
Live entertainment is much needed in these parks, and there's so many things that they could do in regards to a show. 21 Royal with Cheese coming in again here. I want them to put a show of anything in the Hyperion. They'll take anything.
Yeah, they'll take everything, but I'm sorry, anything. But I will say, I'm willing to wait for a quality production that stands the test of time, something that lasts for at least 10 years, right?
Yeah.
I just don't know if Disney is willing to commit to that. That's unfortunate.
Any ideas of a show that you have in mind with your expertise?
There was a lot of talk about maybe doing a Hercules show in there, not too dissimilar to actually what's found on the Disney Cruise Line.
Nice.
I think that might be very interesting. It's kind of funny because some of those productions that are playing on the cruise line right now were actually adaptations of shows that used to play in the Hyperion. And I know Aladdin is one of those cases. So, again, these things pay off dividends if you actually do them correctly. That I wouldn't mind. I have to actually think of my Disney canon and see what might be appropriate in that space. Huh.
Yeah, I mean, a Powerline concert would be my first choice, but that's just me.
Powerline concert. That's interesting. Okay, cool.
I love that. It's one of my favorite movies.
I think we have someone else.
Yeah, we have a super chat. Les Tat 964. Forgive me if I pronounced that incorrectly, for $10. Thank you so much. Beautiful avatar of you and your family. Great show, guys. Shame they wouldn't at least bring back the one and done WOC Halloween show they removed in order to have a second parade showing. Huh.
Yeah, so okay, so the WOC show is what by the way, Lestat is actually Marty Snyder himself.
Okay.
So Marty, great to see you out there. Thanks so much for supporting our program right there. Awesome stuff. I will call you back, sir. Don't even worry about that. But yeah,
that's the Marty that you summoned. I gotcha. Okay.
That's the Marty Snyder right there. World of Color is what he's referring to. There used to be a World of Color Halloween show that was actually played on Oogie Boogie Bash nights. I think it only lasted one season.
Wow.
But it never came back again, and it's kind of one of those things where it's like, okay, if you're not going to have a parade, please give us a World of Color presentation. Instead, I think for right now, they're not going to have any World of Color show actually play during Oogie Boogie Bash, and on nights that it's not actually occurring, that being Oogie Boogie Bash itself, they're going to have World of Color 1 there. And it's like, oh my goodness, I cannot tell you how much that show stinks. So it's just like, thanks for not giving us anything that we want, Disney. Do appreciate that.
Well, Marty, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. And please pardon me, I did not know better. But yeah, that's a
You're
beautiful
good.
photo. Their avatar is really nice.
Yeah. No, Marty's a great guy. Marty's fantastic stuff right there. But by the way, he, some of the B-roll that you see occasionally of DCA provided by Marty right there. So
Nice.
big compliments and shout outs to him. Now, MJ, you can go ahead and stay on for this next one right here because I need somebody to react to this. Because
You need
this
a
is kind of
reaction?
crazy right here.
Oh, I'm the girl if you need a
Yes.
reaction.
Here's one last story for you all before we get on to the dish right here. This was crazy. This actually occurred while we were live streaming last week. There you go, from ABC 7 News. A terrifying roller coaster rescue is underway in Galveston, Texas Thursday. It's obviously out of date, but still. A car became stuck on a vertical track, leaving 8 people dangling at the very top of the attraction. Firefighters are using a long ladder truck to reach the riders several stories above the ground, actually 100 feet above. Crews are working to remove each rider from the ride by gently catching them and lowering them into a basket at the end of a ladder before walking them down an incredibly steep structure to safety. You can see what this actually looked like right here. These guests, okay, were stuck on a 90-degree lift hill for 5 hours.
We should have played this before we started this.
Remain seated, please. Permanecer sentados, por favor.
That's very true. Definitely
Holy
remain
moly.
seated with your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the vehicle at all times. This is crazy. So this is at the what is it? The Pleasure Pier, I do believe, is what this particular attraction is called right here. This actually sits in, overlooking the Gulf of Mexico, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, that lift hill is about 100 feet off the ground, which is a lot. And it's stuck right at the very top. Now, anti-rollback will prevent that coaster car from coming down, but for the guests actually riding this coaster and stuck in that position, that's not great. And so they were just up there for hours and hours and hours and hours. MJ, this is not good. If you've ever been in one of these, by the way, the coaster involved is the Iron Shark, and it's actually I think it's a Euro
Next
fighter
to shark
model.
infested waters. Imagine that. Beautiful.
Well, there you go. It's just
You don't need Jaws. You have this.
I
Not
never
a
thought
problem.
about that, MJ. Yeah, that's most disconcerting. Okay, so this is part of Gerschlauer's Eurofighter model. And if you've ever been on one of these coasters, which, by the way, maybe you guys have, if you've been to Knott's Berry Farm and you've been on Hang Time, that's actually a very similar coaster to this. It's a Eurofighter as well. And I'll tell you, MJ, when you're going up this lift hill, it is super disconcerting. Like, it's very uncomfortable while you actually do this because of how the seats kind of arranged. You're kind of scooped into this. And so, like imagine a spoon, right? Full with liquid. When you're in this position going up this lift hill, it's not perfectly level. It's actually tilted back slightly. So you're constantly kind of being pushed or wedged out of your seat, and your restraint's the only thing holding you in, which is a very disconcerting feeling. So it's like almost feels like it's beyond 90 degrees in the worst way.
Yeah, I'm looking at the ride vehicle. How many years old is this thing?
I was looking up this earlier. I thought it opened in 2012. Let me just see here. Let me just get you what this is all about. Yeah, it's June 1st, 2012. That's correct.
I'm not sure if this is true, but I want to bring it up. Freedom Seeker coming in. So according to a ride mechanic channel, very interesting, there is a built-in rescue platform for that ride that should have made evac easy, but it seems it wasn't operating, and that's why it took so long to evac. Wow.
I imagine that was the case, that there was like an evac platform that was built into this, because this is so extraordinary. I mean, there are multiple Eurofighter models from Gerschlauer across the world. So it's like, why, when these things break down, don't you actually see this? Apparently, that makes a lot of sense right there. So, Freedom Seeker, thank you so much for adding that very pertinent context to this, because I fully believe that. Look, you're not going to be able to build a coaster unless there is a safe way to get people out of it, right? In the case of an emergency like this. This is just very harrowing. So I guess the procedure involved putting like a harness on these guests and then
A parachute?
No, a harness.
I'm joking.
Like yeah, exactly. A multi-point harness that secures you, and then you secure that to the basket, and then you actually disengage the safety mechanism or restraint system for one seat at a time, and then you go. But they were stuck up there for hours because that's a lengthy process to do for each person that's actually on there.
Yeah. How many people can you get down at once? It looks like one
I think it's one
at
person.
a time. Bring them down and then go back and get another guest. And that looks like a 4-seat ride vehicle.
Yeah, it's looks like an 8-seater. 8-seater.
Oh, and it's 8-seater. Holy moly.
Yeah, because there's two rows of 4 there. So this is just not what you want to see. Very uncomfortable. I'm telling you, if you've ever been on hang time and you're going up that vertical lift hill, it's just, there's an uncomfortability factor that's there, and to be stuck in that position for hours. That's
that doesn't look like a comfy ride vehicle either. It looks like it's mainly made out of metal or some other materials, or I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because that restraint system right there, oh man, whenever I get off of hang time and those turns and maneuvers and so forth, it's ironic because it's named hang time, but it doesn't really offer that much hang time. It's painful. It can be painful, especially in
the third. If it were me, I might have never ride a roller coaster again.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I mean, it's oh boy, these guys got a lot more than they bargained for. Let me just put it that way. So
it's amazing.
Pretty big stuff right here. You never like to see this, but it happened. You can see a little POV of what this coaster is supposed to look like. This provided by, I just want to go ahead and make sure I get the name of the uploader. It is Coaster Crutchfield.
Oh, Coaster Crutchfield. Okay, I thought it was Sister Crutchfield. Okay, good.
Mhm.
Yeah, this is she's an elderly track there. Yeah, it's got to be 20, maybe 20. It shouldn't look like that.
2012.
Did they do a lot of maintenance on this thing?
Well, maybe there's a reason why. And by the way, I think that, tell me if I'm wrong, on the left of the frame here, isn't that evacuation platform?
Oh man, yeah.
So, okay, all right. So there it is, folks. Maybe maintenance played a part in this, MJ. Wow. Very astute observation right there. But yeah, it's a vertical lift, so you're on your back as you're lifting the whole way through right there, and then you go up, and then you're over. And
the Rogue Attraction's coming in here. Hello,
Rogue Attraction, come on in.
Didn't the lady say she's suing the firefighter in one of these? Oh my.
That's a rumor. Look into it's not true. Not that I can actually bring up in my research. Trust me, if it was, I absolutely would be bringing that to you, but it's just a hoax. It looks like, barring some substantiation from some official outlet. Of course, obviously, anybody who actually riding this, they could sue if they wanted to. So there you have it. But big stuff right here. Also, I think a little one was also involved right there, so that's not good either.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. But thankfully, everybody was safely evacuated. And they're good. No injuries reported, which is also good. But just very, very disconcerting. And I didn't even know this was going on. If I did, I'd bring it to you, obviously.
Thank God everyone's safe and sound. That's for sure.
We eventually get all the stories to you.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, man. Gotta take off the screen. It makes me uncomfortable.
MJ! I need the hang glider that Corilla had in the live action Corilla. She designed one with her wardrobe where she knew that she was going to get pushed off a cliff, and then she just popped open the hang glider and survived. That would have been a great mechanism to have as clothing for this ride that you just showed. But that's what ran through my brain.
That's an interesting point. Remy D coming in here. Does hang time at Knott's ever get stuck? every single coaster has the ability to be stuck in that on their lift hills, right? This is why you have anti-rollback and everything like that, because if power cannot be sustained for that coaster making its ascent, obviously you don't want that to roll back. That's what you call it that. So you have anti-rollback there. But usually in any of these, what they would call break zones, you have a place in which you can actually disengage from the coaster train itself and be on some pathway or walkway or whatever. That becomes a lot more complicated when it's like this Gerstlauer that has you in this kind of vertical position, ascending this lift hill, or maybe complete horizontal position. Yeah. Or maybe like it's a B&M invert, right, where you're dangling from a coaster. That can also be a little bit troublesome when it comes to the lift hills and that whole thing. So I think they had a offload procedure, just didn't actually work out as provided by a Freedom Seeker right there. And you just get stuck in this position. I've not heard of people getting stuck on hang time in this way, but if they did, Knott's Farm was pretty good about their maintenance when it comes to their coasters and attractions and so forth. And so that platform would probably still be functional. So
Sounds great. And we have our good friend Ron from Follow the Bradley's Fun going live at 4:05. And I think you have
Absolutely.
that redirect all set up, right, Vash?
I believe I do. But as I'm making sure on that, please go ahead, tell the fine people where they can find you, Miss MagicalyMJ.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. I am on X and Instagram. I'm like 4 followers away from 100 on Instagram, which sounds really, really, really modest. I'm excited about it. And it's been a journey. Been in this community for not that long, and everyone knows it's difficult to get followers and likes and all these things, but I am having a great time interacting and socializing with all of you on X and Instagram, sharing any information I have, the latest tips and tricks, and check out the links I have. You'll thank me later. And I do appreciate every single one of you guys in the audience. And thank you, Vash, for having me on your show and making me the producer on your show as well. It's been an excellent time. I can't believe it's only been a few months. It feels like forever.
Yeah, it's it's been a minute, but it's a minute well enjoyed by you, MJ. Thank you so much for being the producer extraordinaire. By the way, Go Shogi has the Instagram link for MJ right there in the chat, and MJ's social media accounts, the various social media presences that she has, whether that be her YouTube or X account, are always in the description of every single one of our videos. So you can find them there as well. Pretty good to see. You almost hit that 100 mark right there. Congratulations on that. And I think that just about wraps it up right here. We have a couple of other stories that we'll have to save for tomorrow's program. It's going to be at Thursday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern right there, including big changes to Disney Cruise Line. You can actually bring on board that vessel. Very, very interesting indeed. Also, too, Haunted Mansion, an unattended evac would have been thought unthinkable, and yet it did happen at Disneyland. You want to stay tuned for that, that's for sure. We also have, a certain resort that we've all been keeping our eyes on, this construction project in the UK, that may have gotten its official name. That and so many more stories, please come back to us tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. We'd love to have you. We got to get you on over to The Dish, so let's go ahead and get that going. Also, too, for all you new members out there, because I know there's a few of them, actually, from today's show, you have access to our Saturday program, which is Vash and Vixen. This week, I think we're going to be covering Disney's Race to Space. And we covered their Disneyland's, anyway, television show, the Tomorrowland specials and so forth that used to premiere back in the 1950s and lead up to the opening of that Disneyland theme park right there. Well, they didn't just have an impact on the space race itself. They actually had their own space-themed attractions. I think we're going to go over that. That'd be pretty fun. I know we're going to cover Carousel Progress as well at some point, so we'll see. But you want to tune into Saturday, Vash and Vixen. That's going to be at 2 p.m. Eastern right there. Okay, enough of that. Let's go ahead and get on out of here because, boy, oh boy, I know Ron has an excellent program waiting for you, and we just got to get on to it. Thanks, guys. Very much appreciate you. Appreciate all the support. Every single one of you, Wolful, Just Dutchy, O2RR, Juliet, Freedom Seeker, all of you out there, thank you so much for being the great supporters that you are. Lady Gamester, Go and Shogi, all of that. John Make It Rain, Remy D, Rogue Attraction, Marty Snyder. Thank you. Remember, folks, the sky is the limit.